All right, well, thank you. Good afternoon. As you said, Winston Fisher. I am the CEO of AREA15. I'm also a partner at a family-run real estate business, Fisher Brothers, in New York City. And so what that means is I am part of that awkward tango that we heard about this morning. And I love that speech, by the way, because I thought it was spot on. But when I was asked to speak, what we're doing at AREA15 is deeply creative. It's truly 2 feet into the experience economy. But we also come at it from the traditional side, which is much different. This room is truly filled with creative geniuses, and so it's an honor to be here. But it is a different perspective, and that's I'll sort of give you my journey. And it starts with the journey for me in AREA15 with, like, people are saying retail is dead. Everywhere you look for the headlines, there's an apocalypse occurring. I mean, retail's gonna go out, people will not shop anymore, they don't know how to fill stores, they don't even think about the immersive economy when they're describing that. They just say, it's over. And that's not true. That is not true at all, and that's where the opportunity lies. That's what we see. We see that retail is being reimagined. It's reimagined every day, and it's being reimagined in this room in more ways than maybe people can see, but in things that I think are wildly exciting. And so it is this room that's gonna help that reimagination happen. So, as I said, retail's faltering. The landscape is fundamentally changing out there. And malls I think we are 25% over retailed today. Urban centers are struggling with rents to get retailers to come in there. But we also know now the traditional retailer is inching towards immersive experiences. And that I hopefully everybody understands. But the other thing that's interesting is the online retailer is now looking at brick and mortar. I mean, make no mistake about it. What Amazon did when they opened that store, it's distribution, but they were also creating an experience where you could walk through just not, you don't have anything, your phone charges. From their perspective, the traditional perspective, that is experiential, and people want to go try that out. But what do we see where consumers are giving customers the chance to experience their brand and show them how it works versus being a cheap middleman? You have Nike today. Nike is using experience to sell their product. I don't know if anybody's been to Fifth Avenue where their store is. It's cool. You go in there, you can paint stuff, you have an app that lets you drop things off, there's art all over the place. You go in not because you want to buy sneakers. You go in because you want to see what's the latest and greatest and coolest thing that they have to offer. Canada Goose. Everybody knows the jacket company. They've launched cold rooms to offering customers literally entertainment and functionality. It's not about buying the jacket, it's about experiencing the jacket. That room's cool. You want, no pun intended, right? It is cool. But the reason is, you think about that, they're trying to give you that end user experience through entertainment. Lowe's, probably wondering how Lowe's could be brought up at this summit, right? Like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But they're implementing innovation labs using an augmented reality app to help customers navigate the store. They're using AR. I've been to AR experiences. Lowe's is at the cutting edge of that. Crazy, but they're looking for entertainment and functionality to help sell their product, to help people come to that store in a way that's not just about the experience, but something greater. They're trying to build a customer relationship. So you can imagine a world where entertainment and retail and immersive experiences are all blended together. You cannot get a new set of sneakers till you escape the room. That is coming. I mean, it's happening. I mean, literally change is happening at all levels. A McKinsey report cites experience-related services have grown nearly 4 times faster than expenditures on goods and products. Psychologists will tell you that the root of happiness comes from buying experience versus material goods. And that's what you're selling. You're selling experiences. happiness, or sometimes fear. You could be selling mindfulness. It doesn't make a difference. You're selling something that people want to consume and for so long was ignored. And now people are starting to realize that is the only path of growth in the 21st century. And I can tell you something very straightforward. Companies that redefine the business model for the 21st century are wildly successful. Companies that try to improve on the 20th century model are failing left and right. You have to think different. You have to do the business model different. And in this sense, that's what immersive entertainment, retail experience theater is helping drive that new business model. And so for us, so why my Fisher Brothers, a traditional real estate firm, we see this future. We've seen this future, and it comes from who we are as a company. When we develop things, we think about the way people live. How do they work? Our office buildings are becoming hospitality centers. Experience is all around us, but where we see massive opportunity is here. And so we are currently under construction with a project called AREA15. It's a 200,000 square foot experience retail and entertainment complex, literally located minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. It opens hopefully late 2019, early 2020. But this is, you can see it right here. The top part, there's an A that you enter. You come in, and the first thing you're going to see is a 16-foot tall projection map skull by a gentleman, Bart Cressa. That was on the playa at Burning Man. It's badass, honestly. It's like, you have to see, it's beautiful. You go to the left of it, that will be Meow Wolf. They're going to be 50,000 square feet, and it's darkened because you can't see what their experience is going to be, but I can promise you, it's mind-blowing. I mean, and they have that whole wall. It's a 32-foot high wall, 300 feet long that they are theming out along right over there. You see the Quonset hut that will house local retailers so that we can sell artists and crafts. We're going to actually have a gift shop in there. It's really cool ice cream. It's a great place for sort of local commerce. There's a car that will be located right across from the entrance to Meow Wolf. That artist is Henry Chang. He is one of the most beautiful art car builders you have ever seen. 35 feet long, handmade. It's like if Mad Max could dream up his dream car, that's what you would come up with. We have a bar that we're going to have. We bought a greenhouse from England, and we're turning it into a center bar. And then we have a bamboo volcano being built by a woman in Bali, a Laura Hardy. And it is, excuse me, it's spectacular. It's a place you can do marriages there. You can have corporate events, concert, TED Talks, content that goes in it, or just relax when you eat. We have 7,500 square feet of indoor event space, which 4 walls of projection imaging, so that anybody who uses that space can turn it into their own space. And that's the rendering of what it looks like if we have a concert. And then we have 32,000 square feet of outdoor space. And so you get this is, all permeated with art that goes throughout. We're actually going to be an art gallery. And so Meow Wolf is our anchor tenant. We're offering live events, deep house, EDM, drone racing. We've got immersive activations, art installations, all of these different things coming together. And this is for locals as well as Strip visitors. I mean, very important that you give back to the community and you're part of the community. And so here, we have a little video for everybody to see. I love that. So, thank you. So, what do I know, though? Like, what do I know about the intersection of commerce and entertainment? Let me tell you how I got here. I think that's very important. So, I'm a partner at Fisher Brothers. We're a 100-year-old family-run real estate company. We're headquartered in New York City. We've built, we manage, we own over 10 million square feet of commercial office space. We have 1.7 million square feet of residential that we develop, own, operate. We do financial investing in real estate. Big part of who we are is we also believe in giving back, very community-driven. We've been big supporters of men and women in the armed forces who've been injured, and we started a program called Fisher House, where we build home away from homes for people to stay basically for free when their loved ones are injured. We also do Fallen Heroes Fund. We build medical centers around the country that can diagnose traumatic brain injury, along various other charities. So that's as much business as charity as part of our ethos. But what we also know, being a traditional real estate company, is that traditional real estate has become a commodity, right? And there's honestly, from where I sit and my interests in life, there's nothing particularly interesting today about traditional real estate. I will say one exception to that is in a downturn. Everybody buy in a downturn. So you can make money. But we have we pride ourselves on the fact that we have an entrepreneurial spirit at Fisher Brothers. And so we like to have fun, we take risks. And so when I brought this to my family about AREA15, about this new immersive economy, yeah, that's our friend, it's one of the board members. I had a monkey at my office. I did. So it was, yeah, my family was like, what's wrong with you? But I got the green light. And I got the green light, and I am the CEO of AREA15 is because at my heart is I am a comic geek. I still have all my old comics wrapped in plastic from when I'm a kid. I'm a dreamer, I'm wild, I like wacky ideas. I live in extreme. It really is a place that I enjoy. I love pushing the envelope, I love starting things, I love going against the grain. I mean, honestly, challenges don't scare me. So I actually ran 7 marathons in 7 continents on 7 days because somebody said, you can't do it. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going. So I really, it's fun. But so why AREA15? And it starts with necessity is the mother of all invention. We owned 100 acres of land in Las Vegas. We bought it in 2005. We had visions of grandeur. We were going to build this casinos and this new center, commercial place. And I joke, the only thing we built was a Kool-Aid factory. And then in the height of the downturn, if anybody knows Kool-Aid from when you're a kid, he came bursting through. The world blew up. But that changed the world, and that changed Las Vegas, which is important. And Fisher Brothers, we needed to change our thinking. We needed to change the approach to what development looked like, what was happening, location-based entertainment, how could we plug into this? And so I realized we needed a new model. We didn't just need a new plan. Architects, they don't understand this, they can build a building. I was looking for somebody to help me dream. And I did find that dreamer. There's Michael Beneville, who's here today. He's the co-creator of AREA15, and I can say, he's a burner, he's an inventor, he's truly a visionary. And the whole thing when I met him was, let's start dreaming together. And so the first thing is, when we started dreaming, I put no constraints on dreams. That's one of the things I love working. I'm creative, but when I work with especially creative people, don't put a box around them. Just go. What would you give me? And we would riff, and there's sparks flying, and people, Jesus Christ. But the first plan that Michael came up with and presented based on sort of interest in talking was a burnt out spaceship that had crashed into an alternative Earth that was sort of, 20 by probably 30 stories high, and it was sort of utopia that had survived up here. Hazmat village down on the ground where you could sleep in tents, and there's a Tatooine bar, and it was awesome. It was gonna have theater, a hotel, you name it. But I said, Michael, this is genius, but the real estate developer in me said, that's gonna cost $2 billion. And so, awesome, but we have to obviously balance wildly creative ideas with the reality of securing investors. We have to get a construction loan. We have to actually be able to build it. And we have to understand the operating business model. It can be a great idea, but we'd fail if we had tried that project. But we did know that we needed destination. We realized what was happening. People were, my comic geek, his burner life, nobody had really catered to us. And this is strip-driven. The Strip, and I love the Strip. Where else can you have a pyramid next to the Statue of Liberty, next to a castle? That is pretty cool in my opinion. But it's also, it's the Strip, right? They do their thing. So we had to do something they could not do, would not do, take a risk they would never do, and build something we loved that wasn't being offered. And so with that, we were off and running, and we got to AREA15. And that's, there's us. And at the heart of it, it has 3 pillars. It's a destination, and it's a destination designed to engage, excite, and entertain everybody who walks through there. We weren't building to a demographic. We didn't run reports. We didn't say this is for 18 to 25-year-old males who like to go out between the hours of 7 and 10. It was just, this is a place that anybody who has agency, anybody who has curiosity will enjoy. This is a place that should speak to what was counterculture, but today is mainstream culture. We wanted it to be, it's a platform for innovation and ideas to come to life. And that's important. We're not, AREA15, the tagline is does not exist. And there's many reasons that truthfully, it doesn't exist. No one's done something like this. But at the same time, every time you come in there, it's a new experience. Your experience does not exist until you get there. And so we have to be innovation, change, and that's the platform. And it has to be an experience. Fundamentally, it's entertainment reimagined, all blended together. So one of the essence of AREA15, or one of the essences, is we give tenants the flexibility to be dynamic. When we started working with Meow Wolf, it wasn't us telling them us telling Meow Wolf, it was letting Meow Wolf go crazy. Let their brand, let their creativity shine in the context of this immersive experience. And that's the same conversation we have with all the people who are looking to either do events or be retailers or just do pop-ups. Please bring what you are to the place. And that's a new business model. That is not the way the traditional real estate mall business owner operates today. Our ultimate goal was to build a content box, an ever-changing content box. We're an open source platform for unique partnerships. And that's important. We view everybody we work with as partners. We create that ecosystem for success, but we have to curate it. And that means we have to find the right visionaries, because we actually have we've seen incredible brands fail because they frankly sell out. And they become, I don't want to use brands up here, but you can all think of the ones that started off great, and then they just lost who they were. And that's something that we talk about every day. How do we protect that? Sort of protect the story at all costs. So we are a portal for what we see as immersive commerce, that blending where you have together immersive experience and transactions, essentially. And that's important. So it's not just entertainment, it's not just retail, it's not just events, it's content and commerce living together, thriving together. It's an immersive experiencing housing other immersive experiences. Oh, I don't know if I'm assuming everybody in here does know who Meow Wolf. I hope you get to Santa Fe. It is Alice down the rabbit hole. I cannot do it justice, but they're our anchor tenant, and they're a true partner in the sense of AREA15. It's an incredibly collaborative relationship and one that's predicated on mutual success, which is wonderful. And they are our anchor tenant. And so there are certain rules of real estate that are still true in today's world. There is power in proximity. There's a reason that gyms are next to each other. There's a reason you want traffic to be next to traffic. That actually does help people succeed. Being an island is not the same value as being next to a company like Meow Wolf that's driving heavy traffic, or you're driving traffic. There's cross-pollination. But it's also important that this is a digital, we think about AREA15 not just as physical space, but it also has to have a digital overlay. And that's important in today's world, the new model that I described. How do you think about technology before they get there, when they're there, and after they're there? How can you use technology for connectivity, especially when you have more than one location? And so that's the whole idea, is upend. We want to disrupt the status quo of entertainment and retail. We want all the people who are doing it the old way to be quaking. And we want to replace it with a constantly evolving platform for visionaries to plug into. And that is the goal. So one of the things is, when they asked me to speak, this awkward tango was, could I give some insights about mistakes we've made, the way we think about it, and companies we come across, especially for younger companies, from a developer's perspective, sort of talk to it from a different, so you'll see what we think. And so, as I say, coming from a 100-year-old company, I grew up around the dining room table. I've heard my dad talk about a lot of mistakes, and I have some scars to tell you I've made quite a few in my life. And so here's a few lessons, is be viable. Find the balance between the creative idea, execution, and an operating business model. I mean, it is important that you think about all those things together, because if you're just one of them, or we're just one of them, that's not actually a successful, profitable business that has sustainability. And this is about being a successful, profitable business that has sustainability, so you can, hopefully you're passionate about what you do. I love my job, literally every day. I'm the CEO of AREA15, it's awesome. Be authentic. We say that all the time. You have to curate authenticity. And so, yes, you have to, we think about growth, we think about all these other things, and companies we see, we've said no to a bunch of them because they want to come in and they're just, there was an ice cream store that we said no to, and you think, who cares, it's ice cream. But they were trying to be cool, and it was not cool. They were sort of, it was like they've got laser light shooting and like cheap neon flying here, and it was just, right? Like, that wasn't cool. You don't have to look cool. You could be a mom and pop shop that literally has, like, out of an old barn. That's authentic, that's experiential, in my opinion. And we would take you. But the ones that were trying too hard, we won't take them. I would say for you, find the right landlord. Really important. You want to be part of an ecosystem that fits your needs and your ideas. Remember, you can get free space in a sinking ship. You know you're going to drown, right? Like, it's going down. You are not a life raft to save a sinking mall. Don't think like that. Think about the place that helps your brand thrive, and find the people who understand what you want to do. Don't let them, there's always some constraints in life, but make sure that what you're passionate about and your brand and the way you want to display yourself can come through. Today's world, you do need to scale up quickly. We've heard this before, ideas today get copied very quickly. But scaling up quickly does not mean don't be strategic. You have to think about how you scale up, right? And so the 1 to 2 to 3 is probably the hardest time. Take your time going from 1 to 3. After 3, it's a whole different animal. Now you're a much more sophisticated operation. Then you can go from 3 to 10 if that's what your goal is, or more experiences or longer runs, whatever it is, but scale up quickly but very strategically. This is something important for us every day, balance. How much time what percentage of time do you put towards the idea versus execution? For us, it's 10% idea, 90% execution. This is a room full of great ideas. That's not what the world's lacking. The world's lacking really good execution. And we see that all the time, where people don't think about the right staff. By the way, we've made this mistake. I'm saying people don't, I've lived this where I didn't have the right people in the right places, and that ends up costing. They can't do the job, they don't understand it. So having the right people to help you execute is critical. Profitability, and that's something we ask ourselves every day. Is this cool, authentic, all these things, but also does it have a return on investment so that we can sustain this business? We're not patrons. We have to be able to continue in the future. And I view that as we have people working for us. They need to make a living. They need to know that I'm running a business that can be profitable. And so a business model, when we think about how I present it, and AREA15 was a perfect example, or anybody in this room, you can have a great idea, but if all your profits are coming from food and beverage, for argument's sake, well, do you know how to run a restaurant? No, I never have. You know, you want to make sure that you understand that you can explain to people your profitability. That's a really important thing. Or investors, because maybe it's a dirty word or not, but investors want to know that. And ultimately, this is something we worry about. Growing, getting great reviews doesn't mean that you can't have financial problems, right? We always said, my grandfather said this to me, always tend to the candy shop. Don't forget that. Don't get too enamored, tend to the candy shop. And I always think those are some of the best advice I've ever heard. So in conclusion, as I stated in the beginning, from our perspective, retail is not dead. This is not the apocalypse, but it is Phoenix rising. This is one of the most exciting times I can think to be in this space. When there's massive disruption and there's incredible creativity, that's incredible opportunity. And so it's being reimagined. And it is this room. It's summits like this that bring that reimagination to life. I can tell you, I have a lot of people, I'm going to this design summit. That's so cool. Can I come? You're not cool enough. You can't get the invite. So it's pretty wild. So I can tell you, this is year 2. Year 3, 4, 5. There's going to be a lot of people knocking on the door to meet everybody in this room. That you're the people they want to talk to. And so there is this new blend of commerce and entertainment, immersive commerce. That's the way we look at it. And that's an important thing about how we sell the experience as well as the physical good and the blending of that. And we are as excited for this new paradigm. I mean, as I said, disruption is my friend. I love it, because that's where opportunity rests. And so Las Vegas is our first one. Meow Wolf is our anchor partner. Tenant partner, and we are looking at AREA15, as I said, strategically about growth. We've identified our next site is Manchester, England, and I don't know if any of you have been to Manchester, England, but it is a badass city. 100,000 largest collection of college students in Europe, fastest growing city in Europe, and high disposable income. So it's important. Data matters, by the way. We pay attention to data when thinking about this stuff. We trust our gut, we trust our instincts, but we also do really a lot of research and get knowledgeable. And so that's what we're using to help grow. Where is this opportunity for AREA15 to be this immersive platform where we can have events, we can have great tenants, where's their art and culture that's fusing together, where's their technology opportunities? And that's a lot of places today. From our perspective, we see it as worldwide. So I think the intersection of storytelling and commerce is the future, and that's what's happening now. And so thank you all. Appreciate it. So now I'll take questions. Please.
When you're talking about partnering with companies, people doing these interesting projects,
So Area 15 is not an investor, right? We're not a venture capital fund. We're a platform for companies to come and start. So we are working with some companies that are startups, but we also look at what's their background, the viability of their business model. We don't try to underwrite people's business model, candidly. We want to see that companies have the ability for success. And then we view it as a partnership of saying, a big thing, especially Vegas, is the corporate event business. You have all these tourists. Our whole idea of once you're in the Area 15 family, we cross-sell all those opportunities, create an ecosystem for the tenants to keep talking to each other, and cross-sell events. It all sort of blends together. Let me, please.
Amazing. I really needed to hear this right now.
Oh, thank you.
So, we're going to pop up, immersive pop up.
Oh, great.
We have the profitability. We're doing great. I just had a property deal fall through like 20 minutes ago. Talk to me a little bit about the pop-up space and convincing retailers, even in a suffering property, that, hey, we can give you an infusion for 8 months. Do we need to be permanent? As a realtor, do you see?
Yeah, I think the pop-up is now, it's not a undiscovered phenomenon. I mean, everybody understands the power of pop-up. They're using it to, frankly, we just described, to stimulate their space. There are companies now that you can even get in touch with that literally cater, that they're the middleman between experiences and the landlord. They're all looking for it. I mean, I think, there's all the large mall owners right now are, and I will say there's a difference between a mom and pop and a large mall owner. The large mall owner actually sort of is blindsided right now. This world is moving. They don't understand, but they do know they want to get really cool experiences in there. And, listen, be reasonable, be fair. You can drive a hard bargain. Let me go. Okay.
One of your tenants is Meow.
Yes.
And a part of the charm is like their ability to do adaptive reuse of like an old bowling alley, which was obviously good fortune. How do you, as a company, plan to invest in really compelling real estate that also has a story to it as well, and it to not feel so manufactured?
So I think it just depends where you're going. Meow Wolf started, as you mentioned, in a bowling alley. Area 15, I have to be careful, I won't speak for Meow Wolf, right? But as when I was working with Vince and everybody, they understood that this was creating this immersive environment for a different type of activation that could go in there. I think adaptive reuse works really well. For us, Area 15, we said, if you're going to throw a warehouse party, build a warehouse. I mean, that was the simplest thing. Old buildings, some of them can work really well, but for what we're describing, large-scale activation where you have events and retail needs, it's actually sometimes those don't work so well. So it just depends what you're looking for. Now, listen, it's also, candidly, it's a lot easier to execute on a brand new building, so to speak, than it is taking over old space. Meow Wolf has the ability, those guys are so creative, people are so creative, they can slot into anything and make it look, wild and creative, so. Thanks.
Hi.
Yes?
You mentioned your company ethos a little bit. Do you mind sharing?
My company, what?
You mentioned your company ethos in the beginning. Would you mind sharing a little bit about how you hope to make sure that the space is open to people with, all different backgrounds? I mean, this room is full of technologists, but not every American, for example, can afford a $1,000 smartphone. So I was just curious.
So Area 15 is free to enter. It's no cost from that perspective. So there'll be a food hall, people can shop, affordable food, all of those different things. But I don't want to use the term mall, but it's, unlike some of there's paid amusement parks you have to pay to get in. Area 15, you can just walk in. From we have 962 spots of free parking, which is really big for the local community. So we're bringing them in. And then the stuff we're putting in is not, when I describe high end, I mean, Meow Wolf is an example. We have another VR company. We're going to have a barcade there, et cetera. Those aren't high end experiences. Those are all actually quite affordable experiences. Events that we're bringing in, if you go to Excess on the Strip, that's a bottle service. God knows what it costs to get in. These are events for 500 to 2,000 person DJs, live music. Again, that's meant to be affordable. But community outreach is a big thing. We've already started working with the local artist community. We had a 7th grade class come in and do a time capsule. We're talking to local art school about having internship programs. So you try to sort of be part of the community and make sure it's affordable. Oh, back here, sorry. There.
Actually, you just started answering it.
Okay.
No, I mean, a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about what the outreach in the community does look like? Because, it's Las Vegas, it's important to get the local community in, but there is sort of that commercial, balance of the Strip. So when you're looking at the commerciality, how do you balance the needs of, the community versus, profitability?
Well, it starts with, we have good outreach, right? As I just mentioned, we're already starting to work with some of the local schools. We want to get kids to come in. Henry Chang actually gave a great speech to all these 7th graders. He said, the reason I'm an artist is because of what happened to me in 7th grade. And so what you're doing here today could be something that changes your life. And I was like, oh my God. And so we're going to have more of that, working with the local college. We've always sponsored events where we have Cops and Canvas coming in, where it's artists who are cops that can come in and already use our marketing center for their events because they can draw and spark creativity. So it just starts, to some extent, it's not formulaic. It's just a continual outreach. As it relates to profitability, that's all. It's a business in the sense of it's free to enter, but the rents we charge are quite affordable because the Strip is like $150 a square foot, and we're a fraction of that. So we're not, if you're at the Wynn, they've got, choose your high-end brand, God knows what they spend. So you inherently are going for things that are less expensive and more affordable. Thanks.
Can you explain what your curatorial process is for choosing tenants?
Yeah, me and Michael. We spend a lot of time searching to begin with, and then when we're approached, it really is looking at meeting with the tenant. We do spend a lot of time. We meet with every single person who comes through, understand what their brand is, want to look at. There's some, you look at what's their background, et cetera. But it really is, does this fit in? And it's a value judgment. I don't have, there's not a formula to it. As I said, we've said no to some stuff. There was one pop culture TV experience that, they're probably good, fine what they were doing, but it was just something that you could see that belonged in sort of like on the Strip, sitting there. It's a volume game. And we just said no. It just didn't work. Another thing that was, it was some alien weird thing, and it just didn't fit. We said no to a gun range, to be honest with you. Well, they had a zombie gun shooting experience, right? And it's in a controlled environment, but we said that's not part of our fabric of what we want there. So we said no to that. It's a value judgment. Please.
You talked a bit about the importance of the right hires and the right roles.
Yeah.
What have you found to be the most important or critical hire in this on the business operating scaling side?
Oh, there honestly, I think there's, well, that's a hard one because I think there's a few important things. It starts with cash controls. I know that's not sexy, but know where your money is and that you have good reporting. If you don't understand where that is, money's flying fast and loose. That starts and ends with that. So I think having a good controller, accountant services, and this is in no particular order, a good chief operating officer or somebody who's really skilled in operations. My guess is there's a lot of people in here who are visionary, and so sometimes you need somebody who is your executor, and that can be an operating role. So I think that's exceptionally important. Good legal advice. We've worked with some companies where it's you need a lawyer, right? Come on. I think that's really important. And so having, find the right people. What else is there? Chief operating officer, cash, legal. It's no magic to it, but you have to have them all working together. And you can't scale without it, right? There's one group we were already talking to. It's now they have 5 restaurants. It's really cool. Because of that, they've developed now a hierarchy that allows them to manage because the founder can't do it all. He or she has to put it down, to other people. So that's an important thing, having people you trust, but who are competent. That's an important thing. Please.
The intersection of art and commerce is nothing new. These are some new opportunities, right? And it seems like some new motivators. I'm curious, there's a little bit of kind of cultural intermingling, and I'm hearing some of that kind of happens at Burning Man these days, right, between the art and commerce worlds. But once you get off of Playa, I'm curious if you have any kind of advice for folks, particularly maybe from more of the arts community, about interfacing with the business community. What are some maybe misconceptions or kind of bridges that have had to be made, and vice versa? What have you learned about kind of translating those cultures?
So, so I think the thing that we see when we work with, designers, creators, is to be respectful of their work, to understand that you have to, what they've done is it's deeply passionate to them and deeply important, so you have to talk about it and respect it in a way that gives the person comfort. I've also found working with creative people that having good expectations about what the process is going to look like, lay it out very clearly. This is what the expectations are. This is the budget. And so that there's no surprises when you start talking to people about, hey, we set these parameters, these were the budgets, realistic time frame to get something done. So that's one way I find. I think misconceptions are that all business people are evil and all creatives are wacky. That's far from it. Both are true about each side, candidly. I've known some really bad people who are creative and some really good people in business. I would say that if you have to approach somebody from business to understand that they're not in your world, right? Some of the things the same way I'm saying, the business side has to understand that. The creative side has to understand. They've been taught to think different than you. By the way, it doesn't mean they're not creative. They can do things that you guys wouldn't be able to do with math and numbers and structure. So they will be creative, but you have to be respectful of their process also. And it's just, candidly, spend time. So much of life is sitting down with somebody and just talking. Ironically, one of the things I do, I fly all over the place to sit down and talk to people. I do not like they do conference calls, video conferencing. Get in front of somebody, break bread. Nothing's better than just having an experience with somebody. It gets back to nuts and bolts. That will take down a lot of barriers right there. Yeah, please.
What's sort of your model for flipping the creative people or exhibits or whatever through the spaces? Is it like a lease? Is it event-driven? Or
A few different things. We have lease space. So the model has everything from short to long-term leases. There is pop-up space. We've actually left some space for marketplaces and small bays for people to come through. So we recognize, as I said, content box and partnerships. So you need some permanency. I'll just use Meow Wolf. It's 50,000 square feet. The capital investment required for them to go in that space means they need a long-term lease. But then there's other tenants that work as a 3-year lease, 5-year lease. There's people who could do month to month and pop up events. Can be anything from a one-off event to a series of, it could be a series that continues to repeat itself. One of the things that we really want to do when Michael and I started this is we always want to have an end of the world party, and we want to start early and go late, because the world's ending. Right, you should really kind of party for a long time. And so, having different things like that. We're actually an art gallery model to sell festival-style art. And that is, again, a way, one, to make artists money. Candidly, we're doing it less about our motivation is to a few things. One is to get artists the ability to monetize some of that large festival art. It is interesting. That stuff is really cool. Somebody mentioned the Playa, or other festivals. There's some really cool stuff that people don't get to see. And so we're giving a chance for this stuff to be seen and rotated in and out. And then try to use it, and there's sort of 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, using technology to enhance the customer experience, whether through, people could walk in, interactivity, augmented reality, all of those different things. And ultimately, we want to have connectivity where you can use a little bit. I love what Fortnite did, where they just had a concert for 25 million people. You can imagine people attending Area 15s in different locations in a sort of digital platform. Yes?
I'm Nancy Proctor from the Peel Center in Baltimore, and I mentioned that because we're kind of Area 15 in Baltimore when we're going to the building.
Oh, cool.
All respect, but we're in actually the oldest museum building in the country, so that thing of the authenticity of the stories that are just in the walls.
Yeah.
And I was really excited by your talk and the earlier question about mixed reuse, but also wondering, there was one thing missing that I just wonder if it's there or it's just not in the world yet. What are the business models, both for us and for our partners, the performers, the immersive theater companies, the artists who are with us, to make money beyond selling stuff, selling experiences, and I guess sponsorship advertising? Have you found any other income streams?
Well, I think there's merchandising. I know that's not...
Selling stuff, yeah.
Well, or taking your products and selling it. I think the digital overlay is going to be very interesting. Understanding how, I'm really excited. It depends. Listen, I don't have the answer for every single thing. But when I think about immersive theater as a perfect example, I just mentioned Fortnite. And people, what's Fortnite have to do with that? Well, that's theater. I mean, people are buying skins. They're dressing up. They're going there for a social experience. They're talking to each other on a headphone, and they're doing that. Why is this stuff only living in the physical? And it's not just VR. It actually is the ability. What Second Life, High Fidelity is doing, I think is pretty interesting. So that's another way to think about, it's not just the physical, but the digital and that overlay. I also think it's how you sell stuff. When you say selling stuff, yeah, I mean, you're saying I have a gift shop, but what does it mean if there's that intersection where part of the experience is the right brand that fits your ethos being part of that experience of discovery or sales, that you're going through your experience? That is what the world's moving towards. So it's a whole different way of thinking about that intersection. I mean,
And are you co-producing shows and then touring them and behaving like a producer to gain revenues elsewhere?
Yes. We are not touring shows. We will have concerts. There will be some self-produced events. So Halloween will be a perfect example of something that Area 15 just, we like costumes. But a lot of this will also be just working with partnerships with groups that have a brand. They're bringing it in and they're doing parties, etc. And so we're renting cool space for them. By the way, I would say when you say cooler space, though, ours is, I love adaptive reuse. I think it's the greatest thing. But our story is that there's this sort of bunker. And it's important. It has its own thing, the commanding structure of like, something happened. This was built by some sort of nefarious society. It's a bunker for sort of the last stand. We say the last stand of retail. But it's like now the inmates are running the asylum and have taken over. And so it's really, this sounds crazy, I'm in real estate, but the building isn't as important as how you program it and the soul that you put into it. And that's actually, because you can have a great looking space and it can be the worst place in the world, or something that's kind of but with the right programming, it comes to life. And so that's a really important thing for us. Please.
I understand each tenant is ultimately responsible for their own marketing. Can you speak to how you guys are going to elaborate?
Yeah, so a few different ways. We have a general marketing budget that will promote Area 15 and everything going on. Clearly, social media is a big part of that. We really see content coming through as a way to promote it. But also, every event we throw has its own marketing budget that's also being pushed out. So we're hitting it on multiple levels. We spend money, the tenants spend money. We do program it with stuff that will have some social media engagement, and then we have events that are continuing with their own individual. Each event has a marketing budget, so it's sort of constantly hitting it. And and so far we've been very fortunate with our PR strategy that we're getting a lot of good PR, so we'll constantly be hitting that side too. So it's sort of, top to bottom, try to get it at all ways. Thanks. Okay, I got 0 minutes. I was talking too long. Thank you very much, I appreciate it.